With that, I would like to introduce our first keynote speaker. Many of you know her from her show Little People, Big World. There is an entire list of other things. That's only a fraction of what she did. After reading her bio, I literally have to take a nap. That's how many different things. From public speaking to philanthropy to having a small business and doing a lot of great work around the world and in the country. So without further ado, please help me in welcoming Amy Roloff.
Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. What an intro. What an intro. Well, you know, when you're little, you gotta make yourself sound big. Make people believe you a little bit more. Well, hey, I'm here to cheer you guys on. Little woman, big audience. I can't be more thankful and honored to be before you. So give yourselves a big clap and a woo-hoo! So I want to be your biggest cheerleader because I want to motivate you and let you guys all know that what you do is absolutely, absolutely tremendous day in and day out. You know, when you have a disability, and then I have my husband who has a disability with what are called dwarfism. I don't even know what to call myself half the time. We get so PC. But with this type of disability in mind, it was very interesting when we first started television because everyone, oh man, you accomplished so much. He could do no wrong. Walking on those little crutches, and zooming around in a little scooter, and then here I am. I just happen to be short. Okay, I may have to climb the grocery shelves. Okay, you know what? You may have seen that in some of the ads. I don't do that anymore. I'm way too old for that. I ask people. But it's amazing the comparisons that people make when you have different types of disabilities. And what you guys do, woohoo! It's absolutely tremendous. You guys give up your time. You guys give up your resources. You guys do this day in and day out. You help others that are going through tough times. You help others that can't even deal with their own issues and their own disabilities on getting themselves out of the rut, out of the hole, and looking at the possibilities. I truly, honestly believe that dreams are possible for everyone if we allow that to be available to everyone. Now obviously, you know, if you're well off, dreams seem a lot more easily attainable than compared to when you're in an economic situation and you barely have enough to get up out of bed or to put food on the table or whatever else. The people that you guys advocate for and support is tremendous. There's not very many people that do that. And for you guys to do it day in and day out, I commend you. I thank you for doing that because it opens not only their minds and their hopes, because dreams are about hope. Hope for the possibilities, hope for the future. And without you guys doing that, with not only for individuals, but the families that need your support and encouragement. And it helps wake up the community, hopefully, to say that, you know what, here's a segment of people that should not be ignored because they have so much to offer, so much to give. Their loyalty, their sincerity, their looks on some of their faces, depending on what kind of disabilities, whether it be mentally challenged, emotionally, physically, or a challenge that's been brought on by a choice that they made because of life, whether it be addiction of some sort. We all have challenges, but when you have to do it alone, it is so lonely, it is so hurtful, and a lot of times we bring it on ourselves because we're afraid to ask. Believe me, the disability community is not like we have a big line saying, yeah, can I be a part of that? Hello, I want to join your group because, well, I want challenges even more than I have right now. You know, we don't have a line. It's not like you're going to touch me and suddenly become a dwarf. Probably all thinking, thank God. Or it's not like you're going to touch or see other people and get what they get. But life does happen. Accidents happen. And the disability community is one thing that no one wants to be a part of because it could happen to them. Whether it be a health issue, whether it be that life brings them challenges and they chose a different route and how to deal with it, and suddenly they're in this spiraling tunnel and they can't get out. It could be a health issue or an accident. A lot of people ask me, well, what's it like being a little person or a dwarf? I'm thinking, you guys have done this all my life. I don't know anything else. Yes, has it been horrible sometimes? Of course. Has it been wonderful? Yes. And I think what you guys do in order to instill the hopes of dreams or some kind of hope within them to whatever their understanding can be is the beginning of what lifts them out to see what possibilities and potential they have where they may have never thought about it before. I always can tell people when they ask me that question, ask the person who knows what it's like to be able to walk, to run, to have choices and opportunity to do everything that they ever wanted to do. And suddenly they were in a car accident, and now they're paralyzed from the waist down, or the quadriplegic, I think, from the neck down or whatever. Ask them, how is it to be in a wheelchair? Because they know what life is, to have everything, and maybe how for granted they took for granted their life and their choices. And now they have to establish what their new life is, and the rut, and the depression, and the hopelessness that many of them feel. And then some of them can get themselves out. Some of them, it's their own determination, but I truly believe when you have at least one person besides yourself that's being your cheerleader, rooting you on, encouraging you, is what will help those with disabilities to reach their highest potential more than they've ever had in their entire life, even perceived. So little people, big audience. I never imagined myself on a stage talking to people. In my world, I didn't imagine a whole lot. Not because I couldn't, I think it was my own demise that prevented me from doing a lot more than I could have. But I love being up here. As scared as I am, as petrified as I am, I love being up here because for me, this is a view I don't get often. I don't get to see people face to face and all of them at the same time. Because in my world, not that I really care what kind of belt you wear, or what kind of butt you are. I'm a Kardashian, you know. You know, little people's butt do stick out. But that's my world. But to be able to see people face to face is huge. It's kind of exhilarating. It's really, wow. It's like when I climbed Mount St. Helens. What a huge accomplishment. Personally, that was for me. Because so many, you know, they train, they can do it, but I knew I had to do it at my own pace, my own way. Whether I was slowing people up, it didn't matter to me. And I brought my trainer with me. I mean, he's a big buff guy, and he trained me and everything. And I could see the frustration in him sometimes. Oh boy, come on, Amy, speed it up. I said, no, don't even go there. Because sometimes when you have challenges, physical challenges, you're always trying to keep up with everyone else. You're always trying to perceive and do something for someone else. Be like them. Be what they think you should be. But in my world, it's like if I steady as she goes, it's like the turtle and the rabbit. And the rabbit's like going. Oh, sleeps, the turtle's taking too long. Rabbits go. But the turtle is steady as he goes, man, steady. And he finally won the race. So in my world, this is huge. In my social settings is another thing that terrifies me. But because I love being around people, I love interacting with them, I love hearing their stories, I love, you know, seeing how they overcome certain things, what's going on in their life. We can always learn from other people. But in social settings, for me, y'all can look at each other. If I had like 6 people around me, that's all I see is 6 people. I don't even know there's 100 people in the room. I just know there's a lot of noise. But in a social setting, is y'all can talk to each other. Like if I look straight ahead here, I can kind of see what these people are doing, whether they're paying attention or not, or saying, oh, she's not bad. Oh, I don't know. I can see what these people are doing. See, she moved her sweater. When you're in a social setting, everyone can see everyone. But in my world, it's only the 6 people. They're all talking, different conversations. And for me to even make the effort and to be a part of it, to enjoy the environment, I've learned to speak loud. I've learned to do my best with this short little, I don't know, stubby finger hand to have a firm handshake, to at least allow people to think, oh, yeah, maybe she's a little more brighter, a little stronger than I kind of perceived. And talking, I always thought, I've got to say something good. Because if I'm not saying something good, what do you do when your face takes off, looks away from everyone else? You look down. Well, what is down? There's only one thing that's down, and that's me. I better have something good to say. I better be, I don't know what, whatever the conversation's going on. I tell you, I miss so much. I have my own charity foundation, and I'm thrilled that that was an opportunity that I took from doing TV. But I have a VP, well, of course I have a VP, I have a board. My VP, I love her to death. I go to as many foundational events that I can. They all want you to get tons of money because they all think that because you have a TV show, you have money rolling out the dough. But I say, do you watch this show? That's what the other half of me does. He puts it all into the land, into the house. I have no, but anyway, besides the point. But my VP in a social setting, it is amazing. I will be with her, and it's like I don't know what to do. They will look at her and talk to her about me. Well, would Amy be available for this? Oh, I think Amy does such great stuff. Her charity foundation. I'm like, well, I'm right here. But talking to her, they either figure, I don't know what they think. Do I know how to talk? Do I know enough about my own charity foundation? Or is it because the celebrity tag has been put upon me? Well, you don't talk to the celebrity. Oh my gosh, we can't do that. We gotta talk to her. So in my world, from when television started to before it started, changed radically, at least in the perception that people had about dwarfism or about people with disabilities. But in my world, it's still me. I haven't changed a whole lot, hopefully better. But it took me a long, long time to kind of get adjusted to what I tried to do when I was younger to where I am today. It was 2 different worlds where people ignored you and didn't pay attention to you. You weren't the first that they called. Maybe job interviews, they chose someone else because that wouldn't quite fit their image or, whatever it may be. To the other side, on TV, it's like, everyone's calling me, everyone's doing this, and like, I still have what I had before. But it took me a long time, and that's something that I've constantly had to work through in order to protect myself over the years and break those barriers down. Take this as a good thing, Amy. That the television, hopefully, has opened the doors just a little bit more, not only on dwarfism, because we truly use that to educate and advocate for little people, but I was hoping it also educated and advocated for anyone of physical difference or has physical challenges or has a disability that people may turn away, may be afraid of, may be hesitant in socializing with them. I think we opened it up a little bit more. Is there plenty of room to go? You bet. There's several other little people shows that have come after ours. If you guys remember the show Boston Legal, they had a little person as the lawyer called, I know her as a friend, Meredith Egan. I was thrilled that she got that part because it took. It could have been anyone in a wheelchair, I don't care what kind of disability, it just happened to be a little person. But it took someone that normally people don't perceive to be in that kind of position and made her into a lawyer. So yes, it was a TV show, yes, but it's those little steps that make the dream at the very end, whatever that is. Maybe it's more opportunities for people with disabilities. Maybe it's people willing to take just that little extra step, that little extra time, that little extra training. And I tell you, what they will get out of people with disabilities is a lot more compassion, a lot more loyalty, a lot more doing the best they can, even if they do feel they are giving their all because they don't want to go through what they have to go through over and over again, whether it be a job, whether it be social relations, other relationships, families, whatever it may be, the community, whatever it may be. We have another show on called The Little Couple. Jennifer and Bill Klein. I know them very well. She happens to be a doctor out there in Houston, Texas. And I think he's more of an entrepreneur and stuff. Why they're on TV, I have no idea, but anyway. It's crazy how people want to be on TV. Even me. I'd say no, it's more mad. But anyway. But once again, it gave an opportunity to see little people, dwarfs, other than these fantasy type of things. Nothing's wrong with the fantasy show, but that's all you saw little people in. You know, my son, Zachary, still gets calls about being an elf or during Christmas time or the leprechaun during St. Patty's Day or whatever else. And nothing's wrong with that, as long as that is not all they see in him. I want people to see so much more than what they're used to seeing. Medieval times, listen, I have no special powers. I wish I did. One special power I wish I had was Bewitched. Do you remember that show, Bewitched? Winkle that little nose. It's done. It's all clear. My house is spick and span. That's the power I want to do that. That ain't happening anytime soon. So social setting, little people, big world, were huge, huge things in my world. Growing up, there was one thing that I try and organize my stories, which comes first or which comes next. There was one thing that I always wanted. I grew up, regular neighborhood. I grew up in the state of Michigan. All of my family is average height. I'm the only little person. Again, I lived this double life. And it wasn't because of my parents and their upbringing of me. I think it was more me at this defensive mechanism that I built up over time. There was one thing that I really, really wanted as a kid, because this one thing would make me, I thought, be a part of a group, have more friends, be able to keep up. It would be kind of cool and stylish back in those days and everything. And that was a bike. Now, a bike may seem so simple, but for me as a little person, I can't go out there. My dad and my mom couldn't just go out there and get any old bike and say, here it is, ride it. I wouldn't even be able to get on the seat on half of them. My feet wouldn't reach the pedals. So I'd wait till I got a little bit older. I still rode this tricycle or this very little training wheel bike, and now it was a two-wheel bike, but I wanted the big one like all the other kids. And eventually, until I got older, probably about 8 years old, 10 years old, I finally got that bike. It was a Schwinn bike. It was baby blue. It had the coolest and best flower banana seat on it. I thought, this is going to be great. It had streamers coming out of the handlebars, you know, the higher handlebars, so I wouldn't have to lean over. It had that silver bar in the back of the banana seat. It even had a little bell on it. Oh, I love that little bell. Because I couldn't necessarily get off the bike easy, so that bell really helped because it said, people, I'm coming. You better get out of my way. My feet barely touched the pedal, but I didn't care because I loved that bike. Now I was able to ride around the neighborhood, go to my friend's house a lot quicker, come home a lot quicker so I wouldn't be late. My mom called out the back door and says, hey, babe, come home. Of course, parents just text kids now, when are you coming home? But I love that bike, and I thought, boy, this is going to be it. I'm going to know more friends. I'm going to have more friends. They're all going to want me to be a part of that. And for a little bit, they did. I got to keep up with everyone, riding around the neighborhood, going to the local 7-Eleven store and getting bubble gum, unbeknownst to my own folks. And I was thrilled. I I was on it. I loved that bike. And I still have that bike to this day hanging up in the shed at my farm right now. Because once you find that one thing that works for you, I don't care what technology gives you, this works, it still goes, and it brings back so many memories. But eventually, the kids got bigger. Their bikes got bigger. They got more powerful. I had a 3-speed bike, now they're into 10-speed bikes. And I always felt bad because I always felt like I was holding them back. They couldn't go as fast as they had wanted to. They couldn't go to all the multiple places that they wanted to because they had to wait for me to catch up and pedal. And, you know, a lot of my friends did, but some of them didn't. You know, friends grow apart, you know, you cause distance and everything. But it did show me that when you want something so bad, think about it more than just the moment. Utilize it, take the opportunity, and that bike built resiliency in me. In the beginning, it built resiliency in me to survive. But over time in life, I said, I don't want to just survive. I want to thrive. I want to love what I do. I want to have a thrill. I want to know what it's like to fail and pick myself back up. Because when you survive, you're either constantly picking yourself back up or you're definitely playing it safe. And believe me, I played it safe for a long, long time. My parents were great. I was born and raised in Michigan. Like I mentioned, they're all average height. I've got a brother that's about 6'2". My sisters are like 5, I don't know, 6, 5, 8. It's like once you get past me, it's like, okay, yeah, I guess 6 feet, whatever. You're just taller than me. But the one thing my parents did is that they did not cater to me. They did not what's the word I'm looking? Oh, okay, you know, Amy, we got to take care of you. We got to do this. They didn't accommodate anything in the house for me except for a stool. I had multiple stools, you know, in the kitchen, in my bathroom, other places around the house. And when I think about it, I thought, okay, no big deal, you know, that's just living, that's my life. But it wasn't until I got older that another little person came to my house, and she was almost appalled at my folks, at my parents, and even bewildered why I wasn't more upset that my folks did not do a whole heck of a lot more for me than what they did. Because then I'm like, okay, well, this is my norm. I mean, a stool, I can reach the sink. Back in those days, we had a rotary phone. The phone was up on the wall. My folks were not technology people. It took us the longest time to get a color TV, let alone black and white. So I had to climb up the stool to get the phone. But the one thing that I'm so grateful for in my folks is that they helped me to learn to adapt in an environment that I could make mistakes, feel safe, and have someone there with me all the time to say, hey, Amy, what about this way? Let's see if we can figure this out. Because when I went out the big front door, that's a whole world that I wasn't sure what was going to happen going to school. Friendships, relationships, a job. There are so many different things that are thrown at you that you've got to be prepared, you've got to learn to adapt, and that's where I think the resiliency, at least for me, to maintain the status quo came from, was my growing up. I remember in, well, I skipped ahead here. I remember growing up my first day of school. I didn't think anything of it. I mean, when I looked in the mirror, I looked, okay, I'm just Amy. You know, I'm short. I had friends and everything was comfortable. But going to that first day of school, I don't know, something got to me and I was terrified. I was petrified. I was bound, determined, and stubborn not to go. Never, ever, I'm not going, I don't want to face that. Of course, my sisters were kind of upset because, you know, they were in like 3rd, 4th grade. They were thrilled to go see their friends and they wanted to get to school. It was also my mom's first day at her first job. Back in those days, in the late 60s, early 70s, for a woman to work and take on a full-time job was big news. It was big for them to do that. And so she worked at the community college. It was her first day. And it was my brother, the only kid, who went to preschool. Not that you had the whole slew of preschools like you do now, but he went to preschool. And there's Amy. She She's crying her eyes out. She's bound and determined. She refused to go. Her two sisters were so mad that they called up Dad. My father worked for Ford Motor Company. He was there for about 5 years. So they called up Dad and said, Dad, you gotta come home. She's refusing to go to school. We're missing our bus and we gotta walk and go. He came home, and I thought for sure I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. Man, he's gonna be so mad and so angry. Because here he's looking at this kid just bawling its eyes out, depressed, just, having a hairy fit and refusing, going into a room and all this other stuff. And the one thing that I appreciate my dad, because I live by this to this day, he could have been upset, but he wasn't. He said, Amy, you know what? He goes, God doesn't make mistakes. He goes, there's a reason and a purpose that you are here. Of course, he said it in more kid language, but I'm doing it hopefully more adult. There's a reason and a purpose that you are here, and it may take you your whole life to figure it out. But you matter, and we love you very much. And he took me by the hand, put me in the car. Even though I still refused, kicking and screaming, he took me to school. To this day, that meant a lot to me, because often when you are a parent of a disability child who then becomes an adult, it's a world you are unfamiliar with, and you want everything for your child. You may cater to them. You may do everything for them. You may, because you love them, you don't want them to hurt. You know how cruel it can be out there. But the one thing I'm so thankful of is that my dad did not leave me there and get someone to watch me at home. Because if he would have done that, then I would have probably have escaped multiple other challenges that I would be facing the rest of my life. But he picked me up, he took me to the school, and then it dawned on me after a while, and I thought, if I wanted to blend in, this was not a way to blend in, because now I have the whole class looking at me, tears running down my face, walking into this classroom, and yeah, I think your new classmate, Amy Knight at the time, Amy Knight. But again, to this day, I always go back to that. When I face a challenge, when I thought, man, I really don't want to do this, I really don't. But I said, but you know what, if you start saying no, if you start saying you can't, what is it deep down that I think all of you guys do to help those with disabilities that are facing huge challenges? You have to be the reason to pick yourself up and to take that first step each and every day. Because dreams are hopeful, and each and every day is a brand new day to have an opportunity to start over. So I have said no to multiple things. I have, because I didn't want to fail. Not that failing was bad. I didn't want to have other people see me fail. Not that that would be a problem, but I didn't want other people to see me fail and now think, oh, it's because she's a little person. So if she failed at this, guess how many other things that she cannot do. I had so many what ifs and so many worries and so many, I don't know what. I look back at this day, I don't regret it. I would have definitely done things differently because I would not be the person I am today if I didn't face all of these other things or if I denied or said no. Education is huge to me. I got teased a lot. I got bullied a lot. And it's not like I had one big event happen to me. It's what I refer to like a woodpecker. That's something that just keeps pecking at you. You know, keeps pecking those little whispers. A group over here calling you names, and you're with the other group. And now I'm worried about, now they're going to wonder, well, why are we associating with her? These people don't like her and doing this. And, you know, oh my gosh, the things that went through my brain. It's amazing I'm not committed. But it's like that woodpecker every single day. And education is so very important to me because that is one thing that no one can take away from me. And as I, explain to all of my kids, especially in a debt society, and half these young people are in debt going to college,